Welcome to this episode of Nature Positivity, the podcast where we chat about all the fun things that happen in the natural world over a cup of tea. I'm Holly.
And I'm Karis, and for this inspiring episode we're joined by Will Pearce, a musician, songwriter and insect enthusiast. Do you have a cup of tea or a hot drink?
I've just got a glass of water with me, sorry.
It's too hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's heatwave round 2. It's not time for a hot drink.
That's okay, we're hot drinkless today, but that's fine. We're forgiven because of the heat.
I'm Will. I write music about the natural world, and in particular, I've written a lot of songs about beetles. I like beetles. That's about all there is to it.
That was a sneak peek from one of Will's new songs about marram grass. So did you start making music separate to ecology sort of stuff?
Yeah, I started music really in primary school when a guy came in with a load of brass instruments and he said I had big lips, so I was going to play the trombone. And since then I've been making loud, farty noises and having a lot of fun doing it. I've been doing music through uni as well, doing a lot of jazz mostly. And very recently realised how awesome the natural world is and decided that making music about it seems such an obvious thing to do, and I'm just surprised there's so few people doing it.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, combining those two things. I don't know, I'd call myself a musician. I play the clarinet and I started back in primary school, like you. So yeah, combining the music and the natural world is something that I'm also very interested in. Sounds like very exciting things that you're doing.
Yeah, oh, thank you. That's awesome to hear you play the clarinet.
How many instruments do you play?
Oh my goodness. Very well or at all?
At all, it doesn't matter how well.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I love playing piano, trombone and tuba are the main ones, and I sing. I'd say brass is where my heart is. I do like mellow brass.
Nice.
Doesn't get enough love.
No.
But, yeah.
I love the French horn so much.
Oh yeah. Oh, that is one that I desperately wish I could play, just to, like, the way it soars in scores. Yeah. And I have a running joke with a friend that every time we go see a new Marvel film, the French horn has to play like one note higher every time. They have to like one up the previous person to write a score for Marvel and like make the French horn go one note higher.
I have no idea what a French horn is.
It's like a very curly trumpet.
Yeah, look at some pictures. Listen to it as well.
I'll have to have a look.
You got your butterfly ID down. You can learn your brass ID.
So, what made you want to start making music about insects?
I'm not really sure the exact moment that it occurred to me, but it was probably on a walk, because I think that's where all the best ideas happen. I think you'll both agree.
Yes.
But yeah, I just started sort of playing around in GarageBand to try and sort of take my mind off uni stuff. And it suddenly occurred to me that I should just start writing my own songs and not just making silly sounds. And I was on a walk, I think, and I was thinking, why not do some songs about beetles? Because I've been reading a lot about beetles recently. Why not a ladybird? That seems obvious. So, and then from a ladybird, I read something silly about how, I don't know if you know devil's coach horse beetles, but they're very frightening rove beetles, and they're predators mostly, and they scuttle around very quickly, and they raise their abdomen if they're intimidated, like a scorpion almost. Did make me jump when I first saw one. That isn't an exaggeration. I mean, I actually jumped. It's quite embarrassing. Yeah, so I just picked out all these insects that I really liked and thought were just right pickings for creative inspiration.
I suppose more specifically, is there a reason other than that you like the beetles that you choose, why you choose the species that you choose? Is it because maybe they're easier to put into songs, or?
That's a really good question. I think lots of the time it's driven by impulse, if I'm honest. That sounds really, really silly, but I just sort of get this musical idea in my head, and then I've just been reading about a beetle, and then sometimes it'll just match up, and it'll just be clear to me that there's like a lyric that really fits with the rhythm of a certain musical idea, and I think, okay, I've got this cool sort of really intense, quick thing, so that's got to be a quick beetle. Oh, I've been reading about green tiger beetles. You know tiger beetles?
Yeah, they're really fast.
Oh, it's so cool. Just all metallic and so fast, and they're just ultimately cool. And just to go off on a tangent about a particular beetle for a minute, but tiger beetles in particular, just such a good example of how pupating and metamorphosis allows a single species to occupy two completely different niches, and as a result, just that's why we have such an abundance of them in large parts. But the green tiger beetle, when it's a larva, it makes holes, tunnels into the ground, and it anchors itself with a sort of pointy bottom, so that it can, and it has like a bin lid head, which it flips up and like lashes out at prey from underneath. It opens like a trapdoor and grabs prey and then goes back down into its hole. So it spends its whole larval stage sitting and waiting for prey, and then as an adult, it's the fastest insect around, basically. Well, one particular species is the fastest insect there is. So on land, I suppose flying, there are some very quick ones. If you get a moth going with a good wind, that'll go pretty fast too.
Would you say you have a favourite beetle?
I thought you were going to ask that. I think I really like red soldier beetles. They're very, very endearing. Or also known as hogweed bonking beetles, because
Yeah.
if you see them, I mean that's a bit self-explanatory, isn't it? Yeah. Do either of you have a favourite beetle? I have to ask, because the beetle community needs some love.
Is a cockchafer a beetle?
Yeah.
I think I might pick them. Well, that's quite a standard answer, but they're quite big.
Yeah, but they are very cute, so that's a good choice.
Yeah.
With beetles, I don't know a lot of species, so this is quite an uninformed answer, but I'm going to say stag beetles. They look a little bit dull in their colour. I know there's so many more colourful beetles out there, but they still look really awesome with their stag-like appendages.
Stag beetles are so cool. With their modified mandibles. I wish we had more in the UK, but we've got two species in the UK, and they're both pretty cool. I've only met the lesser stag beetle before, which only has little antlers or mandibles. But yeah, I really want to see two male greater stag beetles sparring off.
That would be amazing.
On an oak log, fighting each other. That'd be so cool. Maybe not quite as grand and as loud as like a stag that might be a few months from now, but like a real like red deer, but they're still pretty damn cool on their own scale.
It's grand on a different scale. Yeah. If you look at them, get down to their level.
Yeah, you've got to get close up to them.
Back to the songwriting. How do you take the information about the insects and beetles that you write about and work it into a song? What's your process?
So I'll start with, I think, like most of the time, there's loads of different beetles going around in my head, and there's loads of different musical ideas going around in my head. and sometimes they collide, really. I think that's the best way to explain it. So I sometimes, if I need to relax, I'll just sit at the piano and mess around with different chords, different rhythms, different like melodic ideas. And as silly as it seems, sometimes it just sort of feels right with music, I think. Sometimes I'll have the whole song ready. I'll have all the melody, I'll have all the parts written. I don't have any lyrics. And that's like a really weird situation because it feels like retrofitting. And that's like a very uncomfortable place to be because you have to figure out what words fit in with this like it's like fitting the jigsaw pieces in not quite right. But sometimes, and this is like when you feel really lucky when this happens, but like everything comes fully formed. Like I have what it's about, the right ideas, the right melody, everything works. It's very rare it happens like that, but most of the time it's like a jigsaw. I've got these pieces and I just have to figure out how they go together.
I feel like it'd be really hard to write the lyrics after coming up with everything else.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And sometimes you have like this phrase that works really well, and you're like, okay, so what's the rest of them? That one works really well, and then maybe you'll come up with a different phrase that works really well. And like, how do they go in the same song? I don't know. It can be confusing. It's like it's problem solving, but really fun.
Do you also have a Beatle blog, did I notice?
Yeah, you've been quite the sleuth. To begin with, I saw lots of other people doing science communication on social media, and I saw lots of people were doing blogs, and I thought that would be a good place to start. And it was really helpful because it was actually putting my thoughts, not to paper exactly, to web page, but yeah, actually putting something of mine out there. And that was really difficult. I was really worried and I agonized for ages over the first post, and it wasn't that long and it wasn't that good, but it felt really good at being out there and having written something. And then that in turn made me feel so much more confident about then putting music out there, despite not really having much practice. The most important thing is putting stuff out there, I think, more than you can agonize like over a masterwork for ages, and then but I think it's going to be so much better if you just put stuff out there. And it's so difficult though. Before you've done it, it feels impossible.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's just taking the leap, and then from there, it's much easier.
Because I imagine you both like remember like your first post on like a science communication page or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, when we released the first episode of this, and it was like,
Yeah, and it's ended up being really good. So yeah.
Thanks. What sort of stuff do you write about on your Beatle blog?
Oh my goodness. I wrote about, I think I only did 3. I'm not sure I'm going to revisit it, but maybe to talk about the music I'm doing. That's. I think it was really useful to get me started. I wrote about the green tiger beetle, which I mentioned already. Red soldier beetle, also mentioned already. It's my favourite. And I also wrote a post about a very obscure beetle called Hellephorus brevipalpus, which doesn't have a common name. And I just found it in the garden. I thought it'd be nice to write a post about. They're very cool. They're called grooved water scavenger beetles, and they do what the names. They're grooved, and that sounds like a musical idea already. They've got a groove, but they scavenge around in water. I mean, that's about all. That's not all there is to them. But read the blog post.
Did you find that doing like the blogs helped you then to make your music about insects?
Definitely. It was all about actually like putting stuff out there into the world and not being afraid of people seeing it and having an opinion about it that might be different to what you wanted them to think. I don't know. There's so many worries that you have before putting stuff out there, and it really helped me get over that. And I'm glad I did them because it also encouraged me to do some really deep research on if it was only 3 Beatles, but I've done a lot more deep research on other ones since for songs. Yeah, it's good training.
What was your first insect song?
It was called 7-Spot Ladybird, and it was a weird like barbershoppy thing. And please don't look it up because I'm not very proud of it. Yeah, At the time, it was just I didn't expect anyone to really look at it, and I didn't really think much about putting it out there because I'd done those blog posts, and that was really nice. It was just freedom to make something weird. And yeah, I've made a lot of weirder ones since. So
Let's go to the other end and what's your most recent song?
So yeah, recently I've done slightly less on Beatles, but my most recent one was a song called Sundew, which was this was an example of coming up with the lyrics afterwards. I wrote the whole song because I found some really nice chords that I wanted to use. And then I had one lyric that worked. It was, why not stay for a while? And I thought, oh, what's going to be trying to tempt some creatures to stay for a while? And of course, a carnivorous plant was the first thing that came into my head. It turned into a short song about carnivorous plants, in particular, an awesome peatland species called the sundew.
Nice. So go listen to that one, not the ladybird one.
Yeah, don't listen to the ladybird one.
Where can people find your songs if they want to have a listen?
So I've got a YouTube channel where I post the full versions of all the songs, and if you want to look on Instagram, I post. It has to be like a 1 minute snippet to fit into a reel, but a 1 minute loop on there and a 1 minute loop on TikTok as well, if you use that.
Do you have a favourite song that you've done?
I think there's a lot to be said for when a song is novel, when it's like really fresh in your head and you've recently done it and you're really happy with it. And I'm working on a short series at the moment on dune species, essentially. Your last guest, Alicia, she was doing a poetry collection on dune species, and yes, we're doing it in partnership with Dynamic Dunescapes, which is an organisation which is trying to help restore and bring awareness to the diversity of dunescapes in the UK. And yes, it's a series of songs about those, and this song that I've written is in particular about a moth which lives in the meadows behind a sand dune. So when you get a sand dune forming, there's like a sheltered area, and slowly it becomes less and less inhospitable to the point at which you can get a meadow form. And yeah, it's about a moth that lives in there. And I've got a friend playing the cello on it, and it's going to be quite nice, I think. Looking forward to sharing it.
Oh, great. I can't wait to hear that.
Can you see any impact from the songs that you've made?
Until relatively recently, it was friends and family saying they really enjoyed it, and that will maybe feel very awkward. But yeah, more recently, a number of people, especially on TikTok, which is not what I was expecting at all, have started saying, "Oh, I didn't know about this. Thank you for this is really cool." Also, some random people saying, "I love carnivorous plants. I keep them. Can you recommend what's the best one to have in your house?" Like, I don't know anything about keeping carnivorous plants. You get a real mix as people are really just like, "Oh, I like the music. Oh, this insect is cool." And some people who just ask really oddball questions like, "That's awesome. Awesome that you're talking about these species and thinking about biodiversity and thinking about, I don't know, the natural world in a creative way and getting excited about it." So yeah, recently, certainly. And it's just so, it's flattering that people are enjoying it, and having that response is so exciting. So yeah, I'd say yeah. And I'm hoping more and more people get excited about it as a result.
Well, I'm definitely enjoying them.
Oh, thanks, Karis. Means a lot.
Is the one that's been particularly well received?
Yeah, there was one that's got about 500,000 views on TikTok, which is just boggling, absolutely boggling. I looked at the statistics, and it said it was something like 3,000 hours has been spent watching this, and this clip lasts under a minute, which is just terrifying. Yeah, it's a song called "Why Be a Bee," and it's about mimicry. Because why be a bee and spend all your energy making a defensive weapon like a stinger when you could be a bee fly, take on the coloration, and not have to bother with any of that? I'm not going to sing it because it'll get stuck in my head for the rest of today.
It's already stuck in mine. Whenever I see a bee or a bee fly when I'm out now, I instantly think of that song.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Oh, now I'm going to start doing the same. I better not though, because it is deadly catchy.
That's a good thing though. That I think that's really great because you're making songs about like science and people are listening to them and then they're learning and then about the natural world, which is amazing. So yeah, being catchy is good, even though if you're constantly thinking it, it might get a little bit annoying.
Agreed. One of my favourite songs, if I can ever emulate the effect that this had on my brain, I'll be very happy with any of the songs I write. There was a song in secondary school when we were learning about circles and trying to remember the rules. There was a song on YouTube called The Circle Song. And the chorus, pi r squared sounds like area to me. If I need the circumference, I just use pi d. Honestly, that has stuck in my head over 10 years now. And it's just, I can remember the verses as well, but yeah. It's so useful as well. If ever I don't remember pi r squared, I sing it every time.
I've not heard that one.
No, I have not either.
If you know the rules of a circle, don't get it stuck in your head. It's not good enough for that, but yeah, that's what I'm aspiring to.
Have either of you watched Holber Histories when you were children? And the songs in that, they were just so good at and like letting children learn about history through song, which is exactly what you're doing, but obviously a different topic.
Yeah, definitely. I hadn't thought about that as a parallel before, but I'm sure that that's almost exactly what I'm going for. Thank you. I'm gonna do some horrible histories research. See their techniques. Yeah, I spent a weekend. Yeah, like GCSE time learning the Kings and Queens song, if you know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was I'm not going to try now because I'll just embarrass myself.
I'm pretty sure my sister can recite that one, pretty much word for word, and she's 21 now, so it did its job.
I think music just accesses. Well, I don't think music just accesses a different part of your memory and a different part of your brain, and yeah, it's an exciting power that isn't really tapped into. And if it is, I'm guilty of it too. It's to make goofy educational songs, but I think there is a lot of value in making songs about the natural world, which are completely serious pieces of music, and so many musicians have done that, and I want to be a part of that as well as the goofy educational side of it.
Yeah, I think both are just amazing and something that I could never manage to do. I'm not that skilled.
Yeah, but then you have the joy of listening to them all, and I don't know. There's something to be said for like really understanding what's going on, and then also not really knowing like all the intricacies, and like just enjoying them for the piece of music they are. Because yeah, I went through a phase where I was definitely sort of like really analysing all the music I was listening to, and it can make them a bit dry. Sucks the fun out of it sometimes.
How long would you say it takes you to put a piece together, or does it vary a lot?
It varies a lot because some of them, the why be a bee one, this is the most not infuriating but amusing part of the whole that one being well noticed saga was that it took me under an hour total to make the song and the video, which was a little bit frustrating at first. I was like, why do people care about this one? And then more recently, people have cared about other ones as well. They was like, oh, okay, I'll forgive it. I did resent it for a couple weeks though. I was like, come on, this one took so little effort. But sometimes I'll agonise over like one bit of a tune, and I won't be like working on it the whole time. But just like for a couple weeks, it'll just be in my head, being like, what is wrong with this one little bit? How do I fix it? I don't know, like, you must have, like, projects where you're working on something for so long and you have to step away in order to see how to sort it out.
Is there anything in particular that helps you overcome that?
Being outside in nature, taking my mind off it. Because it as much as it is so much fun, it's like, it's the same as with work when you've got something confusing, some problem you've got to solve. Going and, yeah, just listening and being centered and being outside, that really can just unlock the answer to a question that you'd think you have to really focus on to get the solution to. But yeah, the natural world just I didn't discover this until a couple of years ago, and yeah, I've got so much to thank nature for. Thanks, nature.
Let's all take a moment to thank nature.
Yeah.
Do you have multiple songs on the go and working on it, just like constantly having different songs playing in your head, trying to figure out what to do? Or is it just one at a time?
Yeah, the first one. Because at the moment I'm trying to. I said it was a series of June pieces, and I think I'm planning on doing 8. So I've finished 3 of them, but the other 5 are sort of wearing around in revolution, sort of like a merry-go-round, and each horse is a song. Yeah, I don't know. That was a very weird analogy, but they're on the go. I'm not sure I figured all of them out, but I'm very excited to share them all because it's going to be something I've spent a lot more time on than usual, especially more than that Why Be a Bee song. If people don't like these ones, I'm going to flip out. No.
Apart from the June project that you're working on, is there anything else that you're thinking of working on or starting in the near future?
I think the next thing after that is I'm going to definitely reach out to more organisations. I want to reach out to Bug Life and do something like officially with them.
That would be really cool.
That would be really good, yeah.
Yeah, that's my hope, is that they'll be like, just could you do one about this insect? I don't know how it would work at all. It's all like pretty new and weird and exciting for that reason. But otherwise, I've had an idea which I've wanted to do for so long, which is to make a small game. And I say a game, I mean like a sort of like an educational experience almost. It'll be like a 3D world which you can walk around and explore. I might be being too ambitious, but I want to make like a garden filled with plants and filled with insects and birds, and you sort of fill up a book of IDs essentially, and sort of your ID book is sort of filled in as you find them and as you attract them to your garden by making it more friendly to wildlife. And I've been playing around with this for so long, but unlike a song, which you can do in an hour, lest we forget, but games just take just an unreasonable amount of time to make. Oh my goodness. Just on a different level to anything else I've ever tried before. That's a way in the distant future, or if I can really put my mind to it, who knows. That's what I really want to do. That I think could be really, really impactful as well, and reach out to a completely different audience to the music and say, look, you can do it in the game, just go out and do it in your own garden. Go and plant some of this, that and the other, get some foxgloves for the bees, get some different food plants for different caterpillars, and yeah, introduce them to ideas like that in the meantime. I was speaking to someone the other day, and they said they thought, and it was someone, I'm not gonna out them on this, but they said they thought that butterflies only lived for a day, and I don't know how widespread that myth is, that misconception, but it was just like, oh, okay, like there's so much that you don't expect.
That could be a cool song idea, all about myth busting different things.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. Oh, yeah, if you can think of any, just send them my way. Yeah. That's a great idea. This is what happens. As soon as I talk to people, they come up with amazing ideas. There's so much potential in like combining music and the natural world. Yeah. Thank you. I'll use that.
So here on Nature Positivity, we like to end our episodes with our nature highlights of the week. Will, let's hear yours. Do you have a nature highlight of the week?
I didn't have one that really stood out until this morning, when we have a really tall plant pot by our pond, and a tiny little froglet had fallen in because we had a frog spawn this spring, and there are loads of tiny froglets around the place. So I don't normally touch them because you're not meant to handle amphibians, I understand. I very quickly wetted my hands and picked him up and popped him in the pond, and that was a bit special.
Do you have a nature highlight, Karis?
I have far too many. I recently went up to the Lake District. I went to loads of different spots with wildlife in, which was great. I'm struggling to pick between 2 of them, to be honest. One of them, there was a small tortoiseshell butterfly that just flew like over my head and then landed on my camper van. And also we went to Gate Barrows Nature Reserve, and it was really cool to see like a different type of habitat with all like limestone pavements, and there was all different plants growing through the cracks of the limestone, and it was really cool to see. What about you?
I'm also going to go with butterflies because it's hotter now and I'm seeing so many more butterflies when I'm out, and also just in the garden, which is really lovely. There's just a serotonin boost whenever you see one fly by. We didn't have cups of teas today because it was too hot, but if we did, they would be all gone, which must mean it's the end of the episode.
Thank you so much, Will, for chatting with us about your amazing music.
No worries, thank you for having me.
If anyone would like to listen to more songs from Will, you can find his YouTube channel in our description as well, and we would highly recommend taking a listen.
And thank you again, Will, for joining us today, and thank you for listening to Nature Positivity.